This is going to be my third attempt at a Let's Play of Zelda 2. I believe I've finally got all my audio problems sorted out. I had no idea that Fraps was such a pain in the butt to work with, but you know what? It's well worth it once you get all the bugs sorted out. I'm going to do my best to avoid most of the well, I'll do my best to avoid all the mistakes that a lot of Let's Players make. It shouldn't be much of an issue. I don't really have a tendency to ramble. Now this will not be a low health run or anything of that nature. I'm simply going to try to maybe help a few new players learn a few techniques to help them get through the game easier. Because I know people who played this game for 10 years and they still have not been able to pass it. Now we come to the town of Raoul. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I really don't care. Now, if you've played Ocarina of Time before, that's going to sound familiar. With the exception of two towns in this game, the names of the towns correspond to the names of the sages in Ocarina of Time. Okay. Now I read somewhere that in the so-called Zelda timeline, Zelda 2 actually comes several hundred years after Ocarina of Time. Now that does make sense to me because obviously they would name the towns after very important people of the past. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, we just got the shield spell from that old man. New players will get a lot of use out of that. Basically it just cuts damage by 50%, not unlike the tunics in Zelda 1 and Zelda 3. We're going to be heading straight to the first palace. Well, almost straight there. I see in dark caves like this, if you don't have the candle, you can still see the feet of your enemies against the floor. You don't know what enemies you'll be facing, obviously. If you haven't played it, that is. But, yeah, I don't know if YouTube will show that or not, but if you ever play the game for real, you'll see it. Now these bubbles can be a real pain in the butt if you don't know how to handle them. They have a tendency to pop up just when you're about to jump and send you off into the water. It took 6 hits to kill that with a level 1 sword. Once we go up a couple of levels, the orange Gorias aren't going to be anything of consequence. But of course, by the time we go up a couple of levels, we'll be hitting the red and blue Gorias, which will be tougher. Now, one thing you won't see me doing is a whole bunch of level grinding. That's not really required in this game. It's not an RPG. Now these statues here, and the later levels anyway, if you hit them in the face with your sword, you'll usually get a magic jar. Sometimes a red iron knuckle will jump out and attack you, but that's pretty rare. And you can kill those for the experience points. Okay. These guys are easy. Now for these red soldiers, you get nothing if you kill them, but don't let them hit you because they take experience points from you. And experience points are what you need most in this game. Also, see, don't let those flying skulls hit you either, because they'll take life and magic from you. You can kill them, but with a level 1 sword it'll take you over 100 hits and you only get 50 points. There we go. Salvo's knights take 4 hits and they give you almost as many points. Yeah. Now if those floating skulls were like the ones in Zelda 1, you wouldn't be able to use your sword for a while after they hit you. Or depending on which kind you hit, you wouldn't be able to use your sword at all. See? Magic jar. Now that red guy I just killed, it's actually pretty easy to get past the hammers he throws at you. There's a certain pattern. He'll pause for just a second and then you can jump right through. It's pretty easy. I'm a much better player than this. I really don't get hit by those red soldiers. You'll have to take my word for that. I just don't play for an audience very often. And see, he took some of my magic, but I just got it right back. Now you may notice a pattern to the dropping of magic jars and treasure bags and whatnot. Every 6th enemy you kill, with the exception of these bubbles here and a few others, will drop an item. Now the item is chosen randomly. I see those fast bubbles, they take the same damage as the slow bubbles, but they don't give you any more points. Now these guys have a tendency to jump at the worst possible time, usually right after you swing your sword or jump. Ah, there we go, problem solved. Bam. Can't beat that. A much needed attack upgrade. Now I'm going to show you an easy way to kill Iron Knuckles. Just do a jump and slash at their head like this. Now when you're doing that, try to stay back a little, out of the range of their sword. Actually, if you stay back far enough, they won't even swing their sword at you. It works on the orange and red ones. Now you can do that on the blue ones too, but you got to be careful, because the blue ones actually throw swords at you, or throw energy bolts from their swords at you, however you want to look at it. But anyway, be careful around them. We won't be running into them for a little while yet. Certainly not in the first palace. That would just be cruel. Now we come to a ferry. I deliberately avoided getting this until now, as we're about to run into a bunch of guys here. See that? That's what happens if you get your timing off on one of those. I was rather hoping he'd drop a treasure bag. I don't feel like going back and fighting for points. Alright. Now we come to a man horse, or a horseman, appropriately named in the game as Horsehead. You fight him similarly to the way you'd fight an iron knuckle. Jump up and stab him in the face. And don't let him hit you, obviously. Now, I would think on a horse or a man, whether they're armored or not, stabbing them in the face one time would be sufficient. But I guess this is obviously an enchanted horseman, so yeah, he would be a little more difficult to kill. Okay. I probably should have gone back and got the other 10 points, but I was being lazy. Anyway, see you next time.